All right, so is Pinata the next one?
It is, yeah.
Oh, it is the next one. There's that like DJ Fresh EP that comes out around the same time.
Yeah, we could do Tonight Show, but in the interest of time, you should listen to the Tonight Show one. Most of the Tonight Shows are good. The Raekwon one isn't, but the rest of them are good. All right, Pinata sucks. No one cares. So, moving on. That's pretty much the album where most people started listening to Freddie Gibbs, I feel like.
Yeah.
It was the first, I heard it I had gotten into music. I was really into, before I really got deep into music, I was previously really into like mainstream rap and like a lot of indie rock and stuff. But I think I got into rap like seriously around like 2013, and Gibb and Pinata came out in 2014, and that was my introduction to Gibbs, and it immediately had me scurrying to listen to other Gibbs. Because that's how good this album is. I'm sure we could all talk about this album for a very long time. My one piece I'm going to say is it has some of my favorite rap songs on it. Nyx is one of my favorite songs ever. That piano loop, the scratching, it is one of the most like effortlessly like nostalgic songs that I can think of. I remember a period of time in high school where I would listen to that song like religiously. I remember my sophomore year at college, I would listen to that song for like, I listened to Pinata, but especially that song specifically in playlists and stuff for like a month straight because of just, I couldn't even tell you why, but just like the way it makes me feel. And the outro, even when Gibbs is talking shit in the outro about like, oh, you know, Lambo, like we killed y'all in the 90s, like with MJ and like, obviously, you know me, big basketball fan, like all the basketball references and like, where he goes from the first verse where he's talking about Jordan dropping 55 on the Knicks and in 96 and how like some of them, you know, we were just in middle school and trying to get by. And then he goes to 2005 in the second verse and how a bunch of his friends from his younger days didn't live in 2006 because they were getting killed by the cops or they were going to jail or they were doing X, Y, and Z.
Thankfully, we don't do that anymore.
Yeah. that kind of song, like, it doesn't matter who you are. I feel like when Gibbs is at his best like that, and the song evokes that level of nostalgia, at least for me, nostalgia for a period of my life that like I shouldn't even have nostalgia for. You know, it's that kind of thing where it's just you can't even speak to what it's making you feel like. But the way the song rides out, one of my favorite things in rap is when there's a beat I really love that rides out. I'm sure we can all speak to that, but. Yeah, Nyx is amazing. I don't want to talk about it anymore because I'm just going to keep droning on about how much I love Nyx. But there's a bunch of songs on this album like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you put it perfectly. This album to me has gotten better over time. I probably hadn't listened to it in a couple years. And when I listened to it this week, I bumped it up. I mean, it's just classic song after classic song.
Yeah, there's really nothing I would change about this album. Even Absol's clumsy ass verse is charming in its own way because it fits the LA theme of the song. There's like, again, I was talking about the rollout because it was interesting to me. Mad Villainy is my favorite album of all time. When I went from being somebody who enjoyed and appreciated hip hop to somebody who made hip hop their favorite genre that they were obsessively checking for, was Mad Villain. That was the tipping point. And kind of Gibbs doing this album with Madlib at the time he did it, at the time of my life, was just like serendipity, I guess. I don't know, for lack of a better term. And every song on this album hits me in a certain way, a different way. I feel like Gibbs as a rapper on this does something different and remarkable in every single song. I think it's a testament to the fact that this album is so good that Scarface, the intro, is one of the weaker songs. But like just the way he cultivates an atmosphere, the way Madlib constructs albums with the found sounds, and just the fact that you can hear 2 seconds of it and know it's a Madlib song, that and Supplier and Scarface work together so much as an intro. Then you get into Deeper, one of the best songs anyone's ever fucking made, by the way. The way that it's like fucking string saturation on it, the way it sounds so goddamn warm, it sounds so beautiful. And then you have it's High sounds like a goddamn like circus calliope. It's just so left field and whatever. And people were saying that like Madlib was safer on this album. They say it again on Bandana, which also isn't true of Bandana. But And Danny and Gibbs are always great together. Harold's an incredible sense of time and place on that song. The images he comes up with, like it's like he's creating snapshots with every other bar. He's taking you there. You can smell the food. I have really corny lines in my review of that. Gets one of the best Raekwon verses in years on Bomb. Thuggin
also,
is
that beat on Bomb. Sorry to cut you off. The beat on Bomb where it builds up, and then it comes right in. He's like, "Slam, man, drugs got me waking up in cold sweats." Like when that beat comes in, it's gorgeous.
One thing we haven't talked about enough or at all in this podcast is Gibbs' ad-lib game.
Oh.
Yeah.
Gibbs has some of the best ad-libs in the game. And you can hear it on Harold's when he's like, fries and like all that shit on the backing track. Like he's fucking funny on his ad-libs. Like, and he's great. And like when he just comes into a track, like slam it and like all that shit.
Well, Gibbs is just funny in general.
He's like such an ingratiating personality. And Thuggin has like the cleanest Madlib beat I've ever heard. Those strings sound like people talk about Madlib putting too much like fuzz on everything. Oh, it's just like a lazy stoner just ran something through like a filter on Audacity, like he's the caretaker or something. Like no, Thuggin, like he makes that sound so immediate. Like there's nothing in the room but you, Gibbs, and the strings, and sounds like nothing else in his or Gibbs' catalog, and it's one of the best gangster rap songs you've ever heard. It's almost like he's proving a point before Real, where it's like, there's this ideal of a gangster rapper that signed me, and this is what I can do. This is what he did with me. Here's what I have to say about him. And then Uno, I'm number one.
Yeah.
And then Robes, here's the new guys. The best Domo verse of all time, by the way.
Yeah, you ain't shit if you never struggled. Like that's you could put that on a fucking tombstone, man.
Earl kills that song too.
I love the fucking Passion in the Whites article where they're in the studio with Freddie and when he's hearing it and they're listening to his verse and they're literally jumping up and down on the couch.
Yeah, that like there are so many moments like that. Like Thuggin is one of the best songs. You could argue has the best Gibbs verses. Like there's so many things you could like go back and forth in this album, like which track is better than that track? Like, oh, you like Robes more than like Real? You like Real more than Thuggin? You like Thuggin more than Real? Like Real is one of the 5 best diss songs ever. Like that beat is so fucking.
It took me years to realize that the title is a fucking Tupac style acronym. Remember, everybody ain't loyal.
Yeah, and like
if Gibbs loves Tupac, he would do something like that.
And that's the thing, the way that he switches it up in the second half too of that song.
Want to take your world.
Right, exactly. Like don't make me expose you to those who don't know you. Like, come on, man. Like Gibbs is so fucking cold on that song. Like
also, I just realized he did a sequel to Rock Bottom Broken with Scarface. He did Rock Bottom with B, and then he does the sequel with Scarface. You hit Rock Bottom, you're broken.
Yeah, and Gibbs, I always thought that he had a big Tupac influence and a big Scarface influence.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And by the way, Scarface fucking floats on that song. He's like, people don't like live or let live, so I keep pack a 40 caliber because that's how shit is. Like, the imagery, like you said, all over this album, like every feature, every beat, every verse, there is nothing out of place. And Broken is a beautiful song. Gibbs talking about the relationship with his dad. Like, I definitely relate to that. Like, there's so much like relatability. You're not in Gibbs' situation, but it's so universal that it doesn't matter.
Yeah, we haven't even mentioned Shitsville.
Yeah, with all the flows.
Talk about Madlib not playing it safe.
Yeah, there's so much on. Like, I feel like in the same way that you get an encapsulation of all of Gibbs' career up to this point, like synthesized into this rapping monster, Madlib too. Like, he takes his whole approach. He hasn't changed the way he crafts an album, but the way he crafts beats. He's not the same person he was when he made Mad Villainy. And when he made Mad Villainy, he was already the best producer in the world. He hasn't been fucking asleep for 10 years. Like, he's doing it even better. Like, Thuggin' sounds like nothing else he ever made. Shitsville sounds like nothing else he ever made. He'll do regional homages, but he's not ripping people off. He's not stealing samples like fucking Justice League on Thug Cry. Shout out to my obligatory shitting on Mastermind that makes it optimal mad. But
it doesn't make me mad. I think it's like okay. But
It's just funny that it's one of the things we do. We have a long list of things that I'm obligatory to shit on. Diplo, check. Logic, check. J. Cole. We haven't gotten to shitting on J. Cole yet. I'll find an excuse. But
also, the big time Watts beat is great. So I feel like
yeah. And I've actually come around to loving that interlude too because he's so drunk on it.
Yeah. Also, the skit at the end of is it Robes or the skit at the end of Thug?
It's a skit at the end of Rose. The Master P deal. I got a Master P deal.
He's like, bitch.
And Madlib changes the beat like.
Yeah. It sounds like an accordion almost. It's really funny. And Shame, I mean, we kind of alluded to it earlier, but Shame is perfect.
Yeah, BJ the Chicago Kid deserves to have like a fucking blonde of his own. He's perfect on pretty much everything. I feel like he really and the only album of his I've heard is Pineapple Now and Later's, which was good, but didn't stick with me. And I feel like he's talented enough to make a classic album. So
he is, but I feel like his last couple haven't been there. Like he's made his albums have been, or at least his last two were like mixed bags, which is a shame because
it's a shame.
Oh yeah, oof, killing. I walked right into that one. But yeah, what do you think about the title track? I think it's necessary. I
think it's cool. I think only Michi really does it justice.
You like Mac on it or no?
I've liked him better with time, but it's not the best Mac verse.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little too long, but I agree. I like it better with time too.
Like the first time I heard it, I was just like, "All right, like it's not horrible."
I have no idea why G Wiz is on it.
Yeah, G Wiz, the most third tier Odd Future person you can get. Somebody I don't even recognize. I know their name, but I don't like Saluman.
Yeah, no idea who that is.
And yeah, we got Domo again. Domo's cool, whatever. Like, you really only need the one. The thing is, I feel like you don't need Domo again because Domo just spit the verse of his. Domo gave his devil in a new dress. AZ life's a bitch. Like, there's no. After those first two bars, there's no other Domo verse you ever need in your life.
No, you're right, 100%. Domo, like, and he's good on it. I don't want to shit on Domo for the.
He's probably second best behind Michi, actually.
Yeah, I agree, but he's not. It's not like he already gave you Robes. You didn't need the second verse. It's like Rick Ross on Monster.
Yeah, Rick Ross basically does an intro on Monster. I never really considered that a verse.
Right, exactly.
He admits he's fat. That was, I think, the first time he actually admitted he was fat on record, which is the first time he told the truth. But
well, then of course, then he turned it into I'm fat, but I have Wingstop, and I'm a good business owner. So it worked out for us.
I mean, that's really just like truth and branding right there. The fat guy would know food, right? Guy Fieri's really cool. But the bonus tracks, since we didn't cover the EPs, they have Deep and Terrorist, which are also two of Gibbs' best songs.
Great fucking songs. Gibbs just like Gibbs couldn't make a bad song around this time.
Truly. Yeah. If you haven't heard this album, I literally can't imagine anyone listening to this podcast who has not heard this album.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it has what?
Like
almost 13,000 ratings, 12,000 ratings.
Yeah. It's got to be one of the 10 most rated albums of the 2010s, probably. That's a guess. Maybe like 20 most rated albums, but
it's number 2. What was number 1 in 2014? Hang on.
It's number 2.
If it's Swans, I'm gonna murder somebody.
It is Swans.
Fucking Christ.
Motherfucker! All right, no, I'm not gonna make that joke. It still sucks. I mean, it doesn't suck, but I just don't care about it.
Like, if number 1 was Black Messiah, I could let it.
Black Messiah, cool. Benji, I would have been mad at Benji too because I like way more Moon than Benji. Yeah, Benji's a 6 for me. And I also find Powers That Be Part 1 not great either.
It's like okay, yeah.
You're Dead. I've been fine with. You're Dead's a 10 for me.
You're Dead. You're Dead is a great album. I could understand that.
Pinata Beats, I would have been fine with.
Pinata Beats.
It got 2014. It was released like way late. I thought it was really fun. St. Vincent self-titled. I really didn't listen to that much afterwards, but I really loved it at the time.
2014 was a weird year.
I'm trying to look through.
I think I had two albums from this year at fives. I had Freddie Gibbs, I had the Pinata, and then I had Monster.
Yeah, I think I had Pinata and You're Dead, and that's it.
Yeah. Monster is my favorite Future project.
Dark comedy. Some days I want to put it at a 10, but I think it's a 9.
See, I like dark comedy. I know we had that discussion. I like Open Mike Eagles stuff that came after more than dark comedy.
Although the way things have gone in the world, I think Brick Body Kids is hitting me more lately.
Brick Body Kids is really fucking good.
Oh man, a fucking niche Buckethead release at 69. Nice.
2014 was a weird year.
Oh, one of the best Spoon albums at 73.
The Aphex Twin album is in the top 20. That's good. That's a great album.
That is a really good album. I didn't listen to it that much.
The Grouper album from that year is really good.
Grouper is somebody I don't really listen to. Like I have to get really depressed and then listen to a bunch of her shit in a row, generally while laying in bed and being useless to society.
Looking at my list, I feel like most of the good stuff this year were like mixtapes and EPs, honestly.
Oh yeah, I look at my list. Why am I looking at the RYM list? These people don't know anything.
I'm looking. You have The Waters, great album. You have Hell Can Wait by Vince Staples. You have Sylvia Demo. You have Faces.
Yeah.
Well, Faces would probably be up in my number. Oh yeah, Faces was 2014. That's my number 3 behind You're Dead and Pinata.
Faces would definitely be up easily.
Faces took forever to hit, and sadly, Faces took Mac dying to hit.
Yeah, which just, I mean, I get it, and I'm the same way. And it sounds terrible when you say it, but it's like it's true.
Because you kind of listen to it, and you're like, this is really good, but it's also a little edgelord. Like, okay, you're saying this. Like, oh, fuck. Oh, shit. He really was doing all the drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It becomes a lot sadder. I think my number 1 would be Pinata still, and then I think I've had Monster, and then maybe Faces. Maybe You're Dead would be close. There's basically all the stuff that we've talked about would probably be up there. I mean, like I said, Monster is like my favorite Future project, so that
never hit me nearly as hard as Beast Mode.
I know. I always got upset at you for that.
I feel like the way Zaytoven crafted the beats and the way Future approached the beats on Beast Mode was so much more than Monster. And also 56 Nights, I feel like I need to reevaluate because that hit me pretty hard last time I listened to it.
56 Nights is amazing, but 56 Nights is probably my 4th favorite Future, but it's still excellent.
Dirty Sprite 2, I'm sorry, it's just too much of. There's gems in that, but there's so much of the same. So much of the same on that.
We are gonna fight when the Future episode happens. The Dirty Sprite 2.
Oh God, how long is the Future episode going to be?
The Dirty Sprite 2 slander will not be tolerated.
I can't listen to too much of the same shit. 9 out of 10 for this currency tape. 9 out of 10 for this currency tape.
Dirty Sprite 2, I will argue, this is a terrible sentence. Very varied. 2 different words, but yes. Like to me, Thought It Was a Drought doesn't sound like Serve the Bass, doesn't sound like Where You At, doesn't sound like Groupies.
Also, Serve the Bass pretty much sounds like it towers over everything else. That's another thing. It's too early in the track list. It makes everything else sound inferior to it.
Serve the Bass is amazing, but Serve the Bass towers over Thought It Was a Drought. Serve the Bass towers over Blood on the Money.
Okay, all right. We are getting so off track. All right, if you haven't heard you're also a cop. You can't listen to this podcast anymore. We're making a list, checking it twice. Fucking, what's next on the list? I gotta go back to Gibbs tab.
Shadow.
Yeah. So one thing I want to say before we get to that, right after Pinata dropped, Old English dropped.
Oh, Old English. Yes,
I legitimately thought Gibbs was gonna blow up.
Yeah. because that
well,
was.
we thought Thug was going to blow up, and that hasn't really happened either.
I mean, Thug is very.
Yeah,
Thug
You can
is
mention 5 people know who Young Thug is.
Thug is extremely popular. He just doesn't sell records. Like he doesn't. Outside of his last album, he doesn't have like big sales numbers. But Thug, any mainstream rap fan knows who Thug is. And if you look at his YouTube, is crazy. He's got videos with like hundreds of millions of plays. Like I said, he doesn't sell. But at festivals and shows, like he's big, and he's on other people's shit that are more bigger than like that sell more than him. So Thug,
Not like a top 40 iHeartRadio rapper, like, but you thought the Post Malone song would make him that, I guess.
yes, that's true. Like if he's been on tracks with Post Malone, so you would think that he would be one of the like 10 most popular rappers in the world, but he probably isn't. For whatever reason, he's as big as Future, but he's not at the same time. If that makes sense.
Yeah, he's not.
Like
He's almost.
He is, but he isn't. It's weird.
But you're right about everyone knowing him.
Yeah, because he's such an eccentric as well. He's so unique.
My wife didn't know him as of last year, and she's a pretty good barometer for what the everyday person who only listens to the radio and Spotify is what she likes listens to. She didn't know him till the Post Malone song. And then she was like, this dude has a weird voice. And I'm like, that's the most normal he's ever sounded.
Yeah. Before Shadow of a Doubt, do we want to do Pronto quick?
Oh, of course, yeah. Pronto is one of the best things he's ever done.
Yes. Amazing EP, his best EP. 3 incredible songs.
Not a wasted second on this.
White Range is one of the best songs of that year and one of the best Gibb songs, period.
Diamonds is the best collab. Yeah,
yeah. Diamond should have blown up. Diamonds is the way that like hook is so smooth, and Gibbs, man, like Gibbs can rap on anything. Like
that's the thing about his versatility. I hate when people call him mediocre or mid or whatever or just the same shit. No, have you listened? Like they clearly.
Yeah, that's an asinine statement.
It actually makes me angry.
Yeah, like the versatility is evident. All you have to do is listen to like 2 Gibbs albums, listen to ESGN, and listen to Pinata. Like, you know what I mean? Like that should tip you off right away. To say nothing of everything he's done in the last 5 years.
Yeah. So Optimal, you wanted to talk about Shadow of a Doubt a lot, didn't you?
Oh yeah, because I said I would ride for it a lot because I think that it's not misunderstood because its rating is decent on RYM. It should be higher, but I think it's like because this came out after Pinata and the expectation level is so different. Also, my thesis for this episode is that Gibbs is not 2 different rappers, but the 2 subsets of his career. You go from Miseducation to ESGN, and then you go from Pinata to Alfredo. Like those are the 2 sides of Gibbs' career. Because I think this album can sort of predict like the You Only Live Twices of the world and like the Freddie and stuff like that. Not even in just the beats, like just his rapping is he'll give you like this kind of album and it's like very dark and like nocturnal trap, like gangster rap, but there's also like you get the Extradite and you get like a Rear View, which I think is one of the most underrated Gibbs songs. And the run from Forever and a Day to the end of the album, like all 4 classics to me, honestly. Insecurities took a little bit to grow on me, but that's an amazing song.
I kind of see what you're saying. Again, I had a fully formed negative opinion of this based almost solely on Basketball Wives on first listen. Very jarring. But I will say that Extradite and Fucking Up the Count back-to-back, 2 of his very best songs. And I feel like there's a thing to be said about Gibbs versus a legend that makes him step his game up so fucking hard. Like we saw it with Pimp, we saw it with Bun, we saw it with Madlib, obviously. Like he sees a legend, he recognizes it, he steps up his game. And also album sequencing. And I think that's the thing that's the thing that fails him on this album is where Basketball Wives is placed, makes people give up on the album.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Rear View's
I think just
start. I feel like, again, with the Legend thing, he has Gucci and E40 on the same song, and it's dope. It's not the best song it could have been, because I feel like they don't give their best efforts. They give good efforts, though. It's like, it's cool, but they don't kill it.
I love the hook on that song.
I love McDuck because it's a reference to DuckTales on a gangster rap song.
Yeah. Also, another great collab between
Dana Williams.
Williams. Yeah.
Fucking Up the Count is one of his most melodic trap songs, and just yet another testament to how good he is at that shit.
Also predated 20 Karat Jesus when he did the OJ the Juice Man.
Oh yeah. Hold up, break.
I mean, to me, what makes this album great, and I kind of sometimes I just reduce albums to this, where it's like it's 15 songs. I very much love 13 of them, and to me, 13 out of 15 is a great album, and that's kind of like how the simplest terms I can put it in. Like, I think basketball
you like more than you dislike by a great margin.
Yeah, that's really it. Like I think there are merits for Gibbs' rapping on this album being fucking incredible. Like for the most part.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say is I think he has what you were saying about it being the kind of right after the split in his career. He has 1 foot in like the old Jeezy industry model and 1/2 foot in the new I want to do whatever the fuck I want model, because he still has like the trap songs, the lady songs, that sort of thing, and 1/2 foot in. I keep saying the phrase 1/2 foot. I don't know. It feels like there's a little bit of a compromise in what he's trying to do content-wise on this album.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd go up to 13 songs. I think it's a little more inconsistent than that, but I think the highs definitely outweigh the lows for sure.
Yeah, it's not a bad album by any means.
I think like I said, the only tracks that I'm not, and Basketball Wives is goofy. Like I don't need it, but I don't hate it. I just like don't listen to it. Basketball Wives, and it depends on the day with Packages for me. Depends on the, but I probably would skip it.
I think Gibbs tried really hard on Packages, and that's what sucks, that he put it with that chorus and feature.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like Packages and Basketball Wives, I don't need. But I think the rest, like Nodima's underrating Insecurity.
Freddie Gordy is great.
Freddie Gordy's great.
I will ride for Freddie Gordy. That's probably one of my favorite Gibbs songs of all time.
Also, Forever and a Day is amazing. Like this, like I said, Gibb. You talk about a hook that is effortless and doesn't sound forced. Is that song?
Another thing. Sorry.
Oh yeah. Oh no. Go Class. Go.
Another thing I love about this album, I like crack up every time I hear it, is the chorus on "Careless." Like you cannot understand a word he says.
Yeah.
But it's so melodic that I get it stuck in my head, and then I just like mumble things to myself.
Well, you can do you can kind of do like his flow, but you can't really do what he's saying. Yeah, I think this album is underrated's an like overused term, but I think it is its rating is too. I think it's a great album. I would not be afraid to say it's a great album. I listened to it a good amount, not as much as like his best albums, like his best of the best. But if you put this album as like his 5th or 6th best project, I'd be like, yeah, I can see that. I can see why it would be like his 6th best album or something like that.
Yeah,
which might not say a lot for like some rappers, but for Gibbs, being in the middle of his top 10 is a lot. So I would take out Basketball Wives and Packages, and the rest I really, really like.
Well said.
Yeah, it feels like kind of a compromise to me. I don't listen to it very much. I put it right around Miseducation as something I hardly ever revisit, but respect. Definitely over Miseducation because it has a few tracks that are as good as anything he's ever done. But I can't say I would ever really want to revisit it as a whole project ever again.
Well, who knows? Maybe you'll give it a listen or something, or a revisit, and you'll be like, actually, I forgot this was dope.
I'm not ruling it out. Like, stranger things have happened. Look at my Paramore ratings. All right, so Freddie next, I believe, or
no? You only live twice.
I live twice. Yeah.
Oh, how could I forget that? Holy shit.
This is a
underrated 3.17. Y'all are fucking shittier morons.
Yeah.
This is super underrated. This is a great album.
This is one of his finest. This is his most rawly emotional project.
It just kicks off with three songs.
Top 3 Gibbs song in 20 Karat Jesus.
The first 3 songs on this, if you have any problems with them, you can not listen to this podcast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Crushed Glass is amazing for sure. 20 Karat Jesus is amazing. Half this album is amazing.
yeah, the best beat switch, one of the best beat switches ever, 20 Karat Jesus. Also, the outro, I love the outro when it's like, yeah, it's Jesus, you heard right.
Jesus is your homeboy.
Boy.
Nah, and just certain diction-shaped people who will be guests on this podcast soon, say that Freddie Gibbs does not rap emotionally about things. Clearly did not listen very closely to this album.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to call anyone out, but like saying that Gibbs doesn't have any lyrics that stand out, how could you have listened to this album and possibly think that?
Yeah, I don't even know, because like the Crushed Glass was the lead single, and that should have told you all you needed to know.
Right.
Like he's talking about the last, year of his life essentially, and how much of a hell that must be. Like he paid bail, $30,000, I believe, and they were like, nah, we're keeping you in there. Like no, and it was obvious. It was obvious racism. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I mean, and then you've got Homesick. Was that the one where he's talking about his wife bringing in books?
Yeah.
Because they were only German books in the jail. I mean, he gets so personal in this album.
Really personal.
Just the visual of looking at his daughter through prison glass.
Yeah, he's talking about like his
I feel like coming at it from an English major's nerdy perspective, glass is a visual that comes up through this album, through his lyrics, through the way the instrumentals sound. It sounds like glass separating you from somebody else.
Yeah. Like,
trying to break through it.
It's like 30 minutes, basically 8 tracks. It's such an exhilarating listen, and people forget like I was fiending for Gibbs, like for some new Freddie Gibbs when this came out. Like that's the reason why. Because like we were all waiting on this.
Yeah, he hadn't taken a year off since Miseducation.
And and it wasn't his fault, and that's the thing. Right. He wanted to give fans this so quickly. I'm sure he made this in no time flat, which makes it even more impressive. Like, I feel like most of these songs came together after he was released.
Definitely, yeah.
Real feeling of being written on the fly, from the heart, like with no consideration, no second take, pure first thought theater in the way he delivers it.
Yeah, I think Amnesia is super underrated too. I want to point that track out. That track, that beat is incredible.
Well, and also the way he never loses his technicality in the way he raps. Like he was born. There's a Danny Brown lyric, never learned to rap, always knew how. I feel like Gibbs is the same way. He just kind of was instinctively given this ability. Like some people have to teach themselves to rap. Like if you look at Eminem, he says he forgot how to rap when he got addicted to pills and fell off for a few years. And you can kind of hear that in the way he raps now. He raps for a long time, but like somebody who had to reteach themselves how to do it. And so they do it like a technical exercise. Gibbs does it naturally. Danny does it naturally. Currency does it naturally.
Yeah, Gibbs is so talented that like he could take a lot of time off, come back, and it wouldn't even matter. Like it's just like riding a bike.
It's just like a muscle that he had to work out a little bit and then come back to it, and it's just natural. And
that's the thing. That's what makes Gibbs so special. Like, he wrote this out. Like, he could write a great album in his sleep, and that's not, to take away from his songcraft and how much time he spends on perfecting these albums, but in general, he's so fucking talented that I'm sure he came up with some of these songs, like I said, in almost no time.
Well, I feel like Phone Lip might have been something he was sitting on, but the rest of it feels like very immediate, like he crafted it like from his experience that it just happened.
Yeah, Phone Lit's the only one that is holding the album back from being like a 9 for me. If Phone Lit wasn't here, this is a 9.
I like Phone Lit for what it is, like a lot actually. It just doesn't fit.
I know you said the other day, Patrick, that you said Phone Lit kind of sounded like him doing like an OVO song.
Well, apparently, and here's a little bit of a backstage inside baseball, or whatever. The very, very, very first episode of this podcast was a Freddie Gibbs episode. It was a test episode that I did with the former host of this podcast.
Yeah.
And he told me, and I don't know, I did not check his citations on this, that I guess Gibbs went like he was influenced by OVO producers on this. I kind of took him at his word because it sounds like it.
Yeah, I could see that because he's doing like, it obviously doesn't sound like Drake or anything, but I could see that this is kind of like Phone Lit was kind of
sounds like nothing Gibbs has done before or since.
Right, but also simultaneously, I don't think he's trying too hard, which is nice because I think he did try too hard with Basketball Wives, like something like that.
Oh no, I don't think. I mean, I think Basketball Wives was probably goofier than anyone ever read it as, myself included, on initial listen.
Yeah,
it was not like. And I think that by the time Now and Later Gators happens on Fetti, it's like he's gotten better at delivering the joke, and the audience has gotten better at hearing the joke.
At 100%. I don't know. I think Phone Lit's a cool song. I kind of agree with Class. Like, I think if Phone Lit wasn't on here, I would bump my rating up to a 9 because the rest of it is so great and so consistent and has some of the best songs of his career and best beats of his career, like 20K Jesus. I think Alexis is a super fucking mean instrumental. And like the way Gibbs lands on it perfectly when he's like, I first tasted cocaine in 10th grade, like just coming in on that first verse. Like,
the way he has honed his flow over time. Like his flow was always his best quality. His lyrics have gotten better over time. They're always pretty good, even by the standards of like listening to his old shit. His lyrics were never bad by like the standards of like a 15-year-old who just like was emulating rappers that he liked. He was always good. He got better. Now he's an all-time great. But his flow was always his best quality, and he's honed it to like on this. I feel like this album is the best testament to when he's really in his zone and angry about something, even more so than ESGN, which I used to think was his most focused album, because he was so angry at Jeezy and his situation and everything. This album was an even worse situation. This album is a testament to like taking a bad situation and focusing into your art.
that's a really strong case for this album. So if you listen to this podcast and you haven't heard that album, do it immediately.
So what's next in his discography here, if I'm not missing it?
I think it is Freddie.
It's Freddie. I was gonna say, I know one of you two, I'm forgetting this, but oh no, I think we all kind of said that earlier, that how ESGN was like during the Pinata sessions and his rapping was so like elite on that, and we knew what his rapping was going to be on Pinata. Like in hindsight, you can kind of see like the parallels, even though they're over completely different beats and they're about different things sometimes. I think this, you can see where this, with this album and with Fetti, where he was going to be on Bandana. Because remember, Bandana was originally supposed to drop in 2018, right?
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
First of all, who knows? I don't trust Madlib on release dates. Second of all, this has Kenny Beats and Adrian Lau listed as producers. Was there just one Kenny Beats on this, or several?
No, Kenny did.
It's like half the album.
Yeah,
Oh shit!
He did like 6 songs.
Kenny Beats
Yeah.
is. People say he does the same shit every time. He did Vince Staples FM, and I thought it was a different producer on every song. Like
his beats
people are idiot. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna also kind of cape for this album a little bit because I listened to it.
Oh, I like this album. I haven't listened to it very much, but I like it a lot. I think it has a lot of variety to it. I like the Greedo track quite a bit.
I love that song. It's got the boys in the hood, like yeah, I love that song. And like just listening to it, I played it about a week ago as a refresher because I knew we were going to do this once Alfredo came out, and it's stuck in my rotation heavy the last week, even as I played a lot of older Gibbs shit. Like, this album's really good, and I don't know why. I mean, I get why it's not. It was like, well, warmly received, but some kind of lukewarm. I disagree strongly, with people that say all the beats are the same, because that's a lot of the comment box review section of this album is the beats are similar, and yeah, Freddie's good on it, but oh man, I wish there was more variety or whatever. Like, it's 25 minutes. Like, what do you mean? Like, doesn't have that much time to have that much variety. And
25 minutes long with one feature, guys. Like, what the fuck?
Right.
Like,
And the only
also, the cover is great. Let's not sleep on the cover here.
Oh, the cover's great. The cover is a bait and switch too. He was like, "I'm going to give you the R&B album." Actually, I'm not going to give you the R&B album.
Yeah.
Like that was in the promo for this. If you remember, was all like R&B shit.
Yeah, I
So,
remember.
Gibbs,
I was still on Twitter when this came out, and he was dropping nothing but R&B, like fucking teasers for this shit. It was great.
and I feel like Now and Later Gator might have was supposed to be on this, and then he just put it on Fetti, and it was the real bait and switch. But Wait is great. Automatic is crazy. Like you said, Death Row. I think Triple Threat and Too Legit, which I just listened to yesterday. Again, like those songs are great. The beats on this fucking knock. Like there is no other way to say it. The beats on this knock. Set is one of the best Gibb songs from this era. Set could go against any song on Fetti. I will stick with that take. And the only song that I don't like is the interlude, and it's not bad or anything. I just don't need the interlude.
Yeah, I feel the same way. It feels like he has one song on every album that I could just do without, and it's definitely the interlude on this one.
I don't need the interlude on this. It's like fine. It's whatever. Diamonds 2, the way that rides out is so good. And it's not Diamonds 1. Like it's not as good as Diamonds 1, but it's still a really good song. And my appreciation for it has risen over the last week because it sounds good on the speakers. It sounds good on the headphones. Like the production on this is just really good. And I feel like if you're a person who you liked Gibbs a lot on his like 2011, 2012 stuff, but some of the beats sounded a little quote unquote like dated or whatever, like you don't think they held up very well. I think this is a perfect thing to listen to because it's short, it's compact. Gibbs is great. He's working on his hooks a lot. You can hear it. Like a lot of the hooks are simple, but they're still addictive and catchy, and the beats fucking slap.
I'm glad you said that about the 2011, 2012 stuff because I think that Kenny Beats came up listening to that stuff, and now the music he's putting out is like a revision of that sort of music, but for artists like now, like Denzel and Freddie, Rito. Like, yeah, he listens to that, and he's like, okay, I'm going to make that sort of shit now, but not dated sounding, just with like, the technology we have now. So I didn't know this was a Kenny project or that he had a bunch of shit on here until now. It makes sense.
Yeah, and like Kenny, I think like I said, Kenny did Set, which is I think my favorite track on here. Even though Automatic is crazy, but the way Freddie does the hook, it's like I could totally hear that being like a hook of a more popular artist and being a hit, and you can tell that Freddie listens to a lot of that music as well, and like he knows what he's doing. Like he has his ear everywhere. I think you can hear it on this album.
Yeah, one thing that stood out to me was the bass on this album.
Yep.
This is by far his most trunk rattling album.
Over Midwest?
I don't know because I only have the mixtape one of Midwest where it has the like.
I think it's kind of engineered that way though. It's like a mixtape. It's kind of I don't know. I always felt like that was the most bass heavy thing he ever did.
No, I think Midwest was for just to counter Class real quick. The Midwest version on streaming doesn't have any of the DJ stuff and any of that. So I don't know if you have any streaming, but I know the Midwest on streaming is like an album, so to speak.
Yeah, I should listen to that because I've just had the one like for a decade now of with all the cuts and the DJ shout outs on it.
If you take away all the DJ shout outs and all that stuff, like Midwest is probably a 9. So
no, still have all the DJ shit. I'm just talking about the beats and the way it's constructed. Actually, I wasn't.
Oh no, I was going to what Class said about how he had the DJ cuts. I was just recommending him to not have those.
Oh no, of course, like yeah.
Midwest, I think Midwest is a little smoother than this album too, though. Like I think Midwest has a shit ton of bass. Like to your point, it's definitely trunk focused, and we talked about the UGK influences and all that, the Southern rap influences. But I think Midwest has songs that are smoother and ride like smoother more than these songs. Whereas like every song on this tape for the most part, except for Diamonds 2, I think is like punishing with the bass and like the sub bass and how hard it hits.
I mean, I think they're both equally bass heavy in different ways.
Yeah.
That's fair. I'm not disagreeing at all, like, or saying anything about the quality of the beats either way.
All right, so next one is
Fetti.
Fetti.
I love this fucking album. I hate when people say Currency doesn't rap on it.
Thank you.
Really pisses me off.
Yeah, I feel like you should have the floor first with this one because I know we love this like probably equally, but you being the Currency guy on All I Am, like this is
Well, first of all, this album wouldn't have happened if it weren't for Currency because he saw Freddie Gibbs in an airport and was like, "Yo, bro, what happened to the collab album we were doing? I got the beats, I got the verses. What's happening?" And so Gibbs just decided to smoke and isolate himself for like a week and come up with the verses for this. And I think they're about equal on it. I don't hold Now and Later Gators against Gibbs because he gives us Willie Lloyd.
and I also like Now and Later Gators a lot.
I think it's hilarious. I find it charming. But I also, like, in terms of, like, rapper versus rapper, like, because he forfeits a rap track on Now and Later Gators. Like,
yeah, and then Currency goes with No Window Tints and ices it, and then you're like, damn, like, Currency really killed that. Like, is Gibbs going to rap? But then at the end of No Window Tints, you get the, like, who is that? And then, like, the sample comes in, and then it's just...
One of the things I'll say about how well this album is put together is I thought they were both in the studio because of the Rest in Peace Mac thing on Bundy and Sincere. They're not. This was an email album. Alchemist put this together so well that I thought they were together when they did it.
I love that Currency verse, too, on Buddy and Sincere. Like, he just kicks down the fucking door on that verse and just keeps going, and then it's just smoothly transitions to Gibbs like, yeah, man, rest in peace, Mac, and then he goes into his, like, quick little verse.
Blue Slap Park in the sky. And then, yeah, rest in peace, Mac. Yeah, it's so good.
I mean, I've gone through a phase with this album where every track, outside of No Now Later Gators and No Window Tints, which are still great songs, but I've gone through a phase where every track is my favorite. Like, Location Remote was one of my favorite, was like a favorite. Then The Blow.
Oh, and that thing, dude, it feels like Covert Coupe all over again.
Seriously.
Like, it's the way, like... This album was so fucking good, dude. I never thought it was going to happen. Like, I really didn't think it was going to happen. Because it was supposed to happen way back. Well, originally it was supposed to be Alchemist and Gibbs. Because if you remember on Scottie Pippen's, Gibbs starts it off reporting live from the Devil's Palace. It was supposed to be Alchemist and Gibbs, the Devil's Palace. And then it was supposed to be Gibbs, Alchemist, and Currency forever. And I guess Gibbs forgot about it until Currency reminded him in the airport. And now we got Fetti.
Yeah, I think this might be Gibbs at his most quotable, honestly. He has so many hilarious punchlines on this album. Also, just like his sword is so sharp, like on this album. Like to use it as like a thing I hear on Dead End Hip Hop sometimes. Like they're like Gibbs on like a song like The Blow, which first of all, Alchemist went the fuck.
Oh, I was just thinking about how good that is. That's like 2001, like fucking Just Blaze Rockefeller shit on the way he flips that sample. Like, oh my god.
I think this is my favorite Alchemist produced thing.
It's not even my favorite Alchemist produced Freddie Gibbs album.
Well, I mean, I know. Okay, it's a toss up between the other one. I'll say that. It's a toss up between the one that we're going to get to later. This is one of my favorite Alchemist produced things because the beats on here, Saturday Night Special, like.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, like, Alchemist went the fuck in on this, and I'm so impressed by the soundscapes and the beats on this. How he can go from like this jazzy rap stuff to like boom bap inspired things, and then like he'll give you like blaxploitation inspired stuff with New Things. New Things is fucking awesome. Currency's verse on that is incredible. Like when Currency is so quotable on this too. Class to your point about Freddie being quotable. Like Currency, like I pulled up in a what's this, came back in a what's that. Like just little bars that like they're not like bars, son. Like stuff like that.
Those too, like they're both technical and just like flow wise, just so fucking charismatic. Like all over it. It's amazing. Like I listened to this for a month straight after it dropped.
Agree. I listened to this. This has been in my. If you look at my like recently played in my Spotify, it's been in one of like the 5 or 10 albums for the last month, and this is before I even knew we were doing a Gibbs episode. Like this is it's 20 something minutes. It's so easy to just throw on and listen to on like a car ride or something, or like while you're eating or just any activity. To me, is very comfortable with this album, and Willie Lloyd is an absolute masterpiece from both of them. Beat is so dark and menacing. Gibbs, like the way he comes in, it's like he's doing the double time, and then he goes in with like the black Tony tone, like that stuff, like pour the holy water up into Jesus' peace, like all. Yeah, that, and then he goes right back in again. Like he's just rapping his ass off on that song. And
the thing is, Gibbs doesn't do that every time because he doesn't have to. He does it when it means something. When he's like that's what makes him so goddamn good.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention that song is so good, Willie Lloyd. Whenever I hear that beat, like when you make the stank face sometimes, like that beat is nasty.
No, I think that is that is one of my favorite Alchemist beats for sure. No contest. Like that beat is fucking incredible. And also Tapatio I think Tapatio is in my. It's hard to say though because every track on here could be in my top 3 on this album. Like Tapatio though is nuts. And when Gibbs comes in, he's like, "Kane Train, I'm just gonna dribble on this one real quick." like you said, he's so quotable, he's so charismatic, he's so funny. I love that beat so much. Like this album owns.
One of the things about Freddie Gibbs is you just watch him evolve as an artist, and he was already good. Like it's more rewarding to watch somebody like Mac who started off who wasn't that good, who can get great. But then there's like Gibbs who already started off good and they get amazing.
Yeah. Class, you were going to say something?
We were talking about how charismatic he is, and I just thought it was funny how like he's doing like a hardcore like gangsta selling drugs track, but he still manages like the Thanos reference. Like he makes the nerdiest references sometimes. I guess at this point Thanos isn't that nerdy, but yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, yeah. But every beat, and also the Now and Later Gators beat, not to sell Alchemist short again, once again, the Now and Later Gators beat is some like prime blaxploitation type sound, like Curtis Mayfield inspired. This album, there's not a track on this that I don't love, and not even like a love but I don't go back to, like go back to know every word, every beat type album.
I don't skip Now and Later Gators either. Like when it's on, I don't skip that.
Oh, absolutely. When Gibbs is like, I don't got time for these hoes, truthfully. Like, he's just talking shit on it. And Gibbs even said it on The Blow when he comes in and it's like the money counters sound and he's like, I'm just the king, king of talking shit, you know what I mean? Like it's so easy for him. So Gibbs is amazing, man. Like I can talk about him on this album all day.
Yeah.
I don't think we have anything other to say than this album is amazing. So let's move on to another one where we're just going to say this album is amazing. Bandana.
Yeah, I mean, if you listen to our year-end one, I think I talked about this one for about 20 minutes. So yeah, I don't want to steamroll you guys on this one again. So if you guys want to go.
I'll say that it took me a little while to warm to this album. I liked it at first, but it took me about 6 months of having it in my car to love it. Which is not, I'd say about half of Madlib's catalog I love at first glance, and half it takes a little time to set in. The singles I loved at first, and then like the album tracks, it was more like they're really good, but they weren't hitting me. But then something like Fake Names or Practice, where it's just like he's never been better. He's absolutely never been better about rapping. Madlib has never made better beats. I think people were waiting so long for this album, they wanted to find things to nitpick about it.
Yeah. 100%.
It's safe. He made it on an iPad. Who cares? Who cares if he made it on a fucking TI-83 calculator? Doesn't that make it impressive?
I mean, it doesn't sound like he made it on an iPad, so like you said, who cares?
Yeah, I don't know how he made some of these beats. Like these beats
he made one trap beat. Yeah, it sounds fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Half and half cocaine. Like that beat switch is fucking ridiculous. You hate that?
Yeah, that beat switch is amazing.
That beat is sounds like a crack house. Like the way that like he just and you get like the neck scratching and like the like sound effects or whatever, like and then the snorting. Like Gibbs, Madlib annihilated that track. Gibbs is crazy on it. I think this is Gibbs' best rapping performance, this album. Which I think Patrick.
No, go ahead.
What were you gonna say?
No, I want to keep thinking on my thing. Go ahead.
I think this is Gibbs' best overall rapping performance. I love this album so much from the jump, but I played it obsessively in the 6 months that it dropped to the end of the year, and it took those 6 months, even though I loved it immediately, for tracks like Situations and Practice and Goddamn and like Soul Right. Those songs, which I really loved on first listen, but I didn't have moments with those songs. And by like this time now, like a year later, effectively, I've had moments with every song on this album. I think freestyle shit is awesome. It's just Gibbs, like he said on the blow, talking shit. And the trumpet, how you can make that trumpet not sound annoying, because trumpets have a very like no, I mean look, I love jazz so much, but I just mean like trumpets have this pitch where they can sound kind of annoying. Like I played band a little bit in middle school. Like it can be annoying. So how Madlib makes the horn sound so smooth and effortless, and Gibbs just floats on that beat, and he's doing like once again like that like blaxploitation like talking shit thing. And Crime Pays. If you don't like Crime Pays, you don't like hip hop. So
you don't like Crime Pays, stop listening to this podcast. I got a list.
But the way that like the hook is so effortless, I keep saying effortless with Gibbs. The way the hook is so effortless, and then just goes into the Crime Pays. Like I legitimately sit and listen to music sometimes, and I don't know how it's made. And this album is something like that. Where I just sit there and listen to it. And I'm like, how do you make something this good?
And he does it like 15 minutes. Like he does this shit like seriously, like nah. Class. I gotta continue thinking about this. Class, you talk.
I think the craziest part about this album is that he gets 4 of the best rappers of all time, right? Yep. Pusha T, Killer Mike, Mos Def, and Black Thought. Yeah. He pairs them up, and I honestly don't think either song would be on my top 5 songs on the album, because the album's just so good.
The album is Palmolive.
My top 5.
Palmolive's in my top 5 because of that song is just the perfect.
That's a top 5 Pusha verse. That's an amazing Pusha verse.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what I did to door panels on the winds. I can give you the whole verse right now, so I'm not even going to quote one line because it's just going to lead to me reciting the whole verse. And you're like, yeah, we know.
Everybody says Pusha Madlib album, like, stop fucking playing with my emotions, please. Like, don't do that to me.
Fake Names is the best flow, subtle flow switch that I've heard in a long time. I can't even tell you the last time I heard something, because the beat changes so dramatically and his flow changes so subtly, but it works and it's like butter smooth. And I don't know how you do that. Fake Names is fucking incredible.
Yeah, Fake Names, Crime Pays, Flat Tummy Tea, Half Man, Half Cocaine. Giannis might be my favorite song on the track.
Yeah, Giannis, the way the dichotomy between him and Pac. He has so many quotables on that. Also, the choice of singles on that were fucking amazing too. And shout out to the title track, not on this album, on the single with Assassin, one of my favorite songs. Super aggressive, super fucking directed and political. Very relevant right now, by the way. But
super relevant. And also think about how it goes from like Giannis to Practice. Like think about that. Shit. Like yeah. Yeah. Like this album was so thought out.
That's like the second or third dumbass revelation I've had on this podcast, by the way. Between me not being able to pronounce shit and me like having like this is like facepalm podcast for Patrick.
Yeah, like think about how thought out, and also Cataracts. Oh my God. Cataracts is that classic Madlib sound, and then it like breaks down at the end with the beat switch, and Gibbs is just rapping his fucking ass off.
Think about like again, Madlib is supposed to be quote unquote safe on this. Aside from Cataracts, Crime Pays, and Soul Right, and maybe Education, because Education is an old song. You don't really get classic Madlib on this.
No,
like, he's
not at all. And like the thing is after Giannis, because Giannis is kind of like more up tempo and whatever. Like you need practice to kind of smooth out. I mean, obviously it goes together because of the reference, but then Cataract's such a crazy song, and I need that 3 minutes to just relax. And then Freddie is just floating on that beat, and I love at the end where he's like, "Damn, I just want to let this ride out." Like I remember when he's like starting to talk shit like Kanye at the end of 30 Hours, and he's like, "I remember when oh shit, the beat's riding out already. Ah, fuck it, just keep it, we're good." Like, I was like, no, Freddie, I don't want another minute of you talking shit.
Also, since you mentioned it, shout out to Kanye for apparently maybe pulling a long con on fucking the right wing and getting a bunch of their money to pay the people who've been brutalized by the right wing. Maybe.
Maybe. I don't want to jump to it yet.
I'm qualified. Like, again, I feel like this was all some publicity stunt that got out of hand, but also, I like the idea that he has a box of red hats, that he didn't just have one that he wore over and over. Because that's the most Kanye thing ever. Yo, Gabe, get me a box of them shits. Get me a fucking skidder of MAGA hats.
I can't wear the same MAGA hat twice. Dead stock MAGA hat.
Virgil, right? Son, MAGA home MAGA hat.
Oh my god. That shit was so funny. The Virgil shit was so funny this week. Oh my god. With the...
I don't fill me in. I don't listen to
he posted like a pro BLM thing on his like Instagram or whatever, and then like he posted like, you know, people like those donation things or whatever. He donated
protesters or whatever who get
he donated to like the Minnesota Relief Fund, I believe, but he donated $50, and you're like, you are very wealthy, you could donate a lot more, and he got eviscerated online. So people started making memes like, I'm gonna keep it 2 Virgils with you. Like, and so of course he since then has donated a lot more. But I just like he got annihilated.
Hilarious. We'll start using the phrase 2 Virgils on this podcast.
You know, like the 100 emoji. People put his face and put and put 2 red lines under it. People were putting his face in the $50 bill. Like, I'm telling you, man, Twitter is quick.
Be dying and like at mass rates never before seen, but the memes are great.
The memes are just, I'm telling you, the memes are great. I mean, the memes about the white supremacists are great too. You have to laugh sometimes.
Gotta laugh to keep from crying.
Seriously. And I feel like Gibbs, speaking of pain, Gibbs, I think, was in a lot of pain on some of this album. Like, you can...
Best transitions in the game.
Yeah, like, for me, like, Practice, Soul Right, Education, like, Palmolive, like, there's real...
Okay, do we need to talk about the Palmolive line?
I feel like it's been beat to death.
I don't care about it that much. Like, it's whatever.
I mean, the funny thing about it is I actually got blocked by this dumb fuck on RYM because we beefed about the line on Nasir where Nas wasn't even being anti-vax.
The thing...
You would expect any rapper to be anti-vax, it'd be Nas.
Yeah.
And he's not on that line. That's just idiots interpreting it.
The thing about the Gibbs line, in defense of it, is that you could argue that...
Oh, no, with the history of the government, like, he's citation on that shit. Like, this experiment and everything. Like, yes. I see where he's coming from. I can see where people would make bad faith arguments using his lines against him.
I think Gibbs, like you said, I think he has reason to be paranoid about the oppressors. I think that's
it has one of the best push verses ever.
And Killer Mike killed that hook.
Yes.
Great song. And the way it rides out with the skit at the end where he's like, you know, I ran into, you know, I came home with my wife. They had all day to go to bed. And he's like, oh, he pulled out a 45 and shot both of them. And he's like, he's going to the courthouse and he's like, man, like, I can't, it's the worst day ever. And he's like, it could have been worse. He's like, what do you mean it could have been worse? I'm like, at the electric chair. And he's like, well, if you came a day before, you would have got me too. Just like the way that, and then like it carries right into Fake Names perfectly. Like, this album was so well thought out. I don't have a bad word to say about it. Black Thought, are you kidding me?
Oh no, Black Thought's verse is amazing. The way it's
Black Thought said, I heard the world ending and I try to watch it. Oh, I mean, hello. Like, that's, yeah. I could talk about this album forever, as you guys know, because I'm one of the bigger proponents of it. on the website. So it's all so damn good.
Yeah, it's an album that I feel like gets criticized by Madlib fans for the wrong reason and Gibbs fans for the wrong reason.
Yeah, I can see that. And I think this album also, I don't put it over Pinata. I think it's probably the same to me, because I have such personal connections to both albums. But I think that this album won a lot of people over. Like, I mean, a lot of music journalists already love Gibbs, but I think this album like cemented Gibbs in a lot of like, rap nerd talk as like a potential all-time great, which I think leading into our next segment, he followed up on that. And that's when I really started to see a lot of the talk like on Twitter and stuff.
I mean, I would put him there.
100%. Yeah, I mean, he's one of my favorites ever. And I think like all the things we've said in this episode have like rung true. Like he has his influences, but he's able to mend so many of them together into this like persona, and then you've seen that grow and evolve over the years and change with like life experience. And I don't think his rapping has ever been sharper than on Bandana. And that's not even a criticism of his other albums that I love either just as much or slightly less.
That's kind of what I was saying about Fetti. Is like one of the joys of listening to this guy is he gets better with every album, more or less. He evolves. Whatever you put him over, he'll find a way to sound good over it. And again, not in an insincere, cynical sort of way where he's pandering to an audience. He's doing this because he loves the music. He's a rap nerd. Who else but a rap nerd would seek out Madlib? Like, he had no reason to. He was signed to Young Jeezy's label and like, yo, let me do an EP with Madlib. Like, he had no reason to do that. And that led to his career now.
Also, he's like Madlib's favorite person ever, like now.
Oh,
like,
no. Like, watching them on stage together is fucking heartwarming.
Madlib did a Hot 97 interview with Freddie Gibbs. Like, that's all you need to know.
Awkward as fuck the whole time.
Yeah. Like Rosenberg could not even believe he was in the same studio. Rosenberg was like, kept reminding the audience, like, guys, I don't think you understand how rare this is. Like, what's going on right now. Rosenberg, that was actually a good Rosenberg interview because he just asked a question and he was like, Madlib, please talk. Please talk. Yeah.
I mean, he has dumb questions. He asked really dumb questions, but it was not the worst Rosenberg interview. Like, he didn't ask annoying questions.
Was that the interview when Freddie was like, we're not collabing anymore, like we're an actual group now?
That was the one.
He said he was better than Doom.
Oh, which?
That was the one when he said he was better than Doom. He said the only rappers that are rapping on my level are Black Thought and Kendrick.
I agree with one of that.
I agree with both of that, but we don't need to get into this.
Yeah.
This episode's already long enough.
It's an interesting take, like to signal those two rappers out. But yeah.
I don't think we're waiting 5 years before we get Montana. I bet it comes sooner than that.
I mean, the way 2020 is going, Montana could drop tomorrow and make this podcast look really stupid.
Oh my God. If Montana drops tomorrow, I'm going to lose my mind.
All right, so there's really nothing between Fetti and Alfredo, right? On this menu.
Bandana and Alfredo, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was trying to make an Italian. Never mind. All right, so Alfredo, this is the best Freddie Gibbs project.
I don't blame anyone for saying that. So I can't argue with it because it's
front to back, from the Alchemist beats to the features to the way Freddie's rapping on it. I cannot find a flaw in this. It's a 10. There's nothing wrong with this. There is everything right with this. Conway's verse is a top 3 Conway verse. It might be my favorite Tyler verse ever. It might be my favorite Benny verse ever. It's a top 5 Rick Ross verse ever. It's Alchemist beats the way he's been evolving them since, at the very least, the Action Bronson Rare Chandeliers collab. It's all of my favorite artists collaborating like fucking monsters in a way that just I never anticipated. Just it came out of fucking nowhere, slapped me upside the head. Yes, it's a 10. I will not apologize for it. Fucking argue with me.
I don't love it that much, but I love it. As soon as I heard God is Perfect, it was my song of the year. And I still think that Frank Lucas is amazing. Yeah, I mean, the album is really fucking good.
It's honestly incredible, like, that he keeps doing this shit. Like, I didn't even have, like, you mentioned like when you do like the stank face like during a beat or a verse. That was just the whole album for me, because I put on 1985 and I'm like, oh, this is, because I didn't hear it when it came out the day before, and I was like, oh, this is crazy. Like, this is a dope song, dope intro. And then God is Perfect came on. I was just, oh, Freddie, don't do it to him. And then Scotty Beam came on, and I replayed it like 4 times that first listen. And I think Scotty Beam is still my favorite song on, and is one of my favorite songs of the year easily. Like, there are a bunch of songs on here that are one of my favorite songs of the year. Like, Scotty, the run of God is Perfect to Babies and Fools is, I mean, not discounting the last 2 tracks, but just those songs, I don't even have words. I'm just like, I've listened to this album at least like 24 times probably, like, since it came out, because it's so easy. You can just throw it on. You can listen to sections of it, listen to the whole thing if you want. Gibbs is, once again, at his best. Alchemist, to your point, Patrick, is at his best. Scotty B is fucking incredible. Like, Rick Ross said, you need a dictionary to write your raps. Freddie coming in there with the revolution will be televised. My execution, or revolution is the genocide. My execution might be televised. Like, after the Gil Scott-Heron sample at the end of God is Perfect. Come on.
Yeah, rap song of the year until the Arm & Hammer album dropped last night. Now we have like 7 rap songs of the year. But I promised I wouldn't talk about that album in this podcast, though. Yeah, this was a 9 when I first listened to it, and then I drove to work, and it was the worst thunderstorm ever, and the storm clouds were mounting, and Scotty Beam came on as like the sky was about to fucking dump on me, and then it parted after the worst rainstorm I've ever driven on in my life, as the Tyler verse came on and something to rap about, and I decided this was a 10. This is always going to be a 10, and this album's fucking perfect. Like, there's not a second I would skip on this album. I feel like it is the pinnacle of what Alchemist has been going for since Rare Chandeliers. I feel like Freddie Gibbs has never rapped better. I feel like this is the rap equivalent of, like, I don't know when these raps were recorded, but it feels as immediate as what Charlie was singing about on How I'm Feeling Now. It feels of the time in a way that does not feel like it's going to be dated 6 months from now or 6 years from now. It's fucking amazing. I have not a bad word to say about this album, and fuck you if you don't like it. You can stop listening to this podcast. This podcast has been entirely full of me yelling at people to stop listening to this podcast.
No one is still listening.
No,
exactly.
This
is going to be the first YouTube video with negative views. Because
yeah, Babies and Fools, I think, is my favorite Conway verse. And it's not what Alchemist does, where, like, and they'll pause and, like, Conway will be like, I need to give my kids all of me. Like,
the way he plays that with the sample. The only thing I can think of this year that has done that is Ka on the Preservation album. He has a solo track on that, and he found a sample that says Ka on it, and Ka's talking about himself and his whole life. And they do that whole thing where it's like playing back and forth, call and response to the sample, which I think was really popular in the early 2000s when it was like the whole Rockefeller, like Just Blaze, Kanye, like Chipmunk sample thing, Heat Makers thing. And yeah, like those 2 songs have done that where there's call and response with the sample. And I fucking love that shit. I love what Tyler does with his verse, starts and finishes with the imagery of the water and talking about something to rap about.
Yeah, because, like, I mean, that beat is such a yacht rap beat.
It sounds like cold water, dude.
Yeah. Like, it's so smooth. I mean, and Tyler, his verse is like, you could say it's scatterbrained, but the way it connects to each other at the end, because the song is literally called Something to Rap About. It's something to rap about. Like, and that's
Tyler verse. I think Tyler has gotten so much better as a rapper in the past 2 years. Like, I really feel like he's only rapped over a few verses lately, but every one he's rapped over has been incredible.
The one on the West Side album.
Yes, and fuck anyone who doesn't like that because he sings at the beginning.
His singing sounds great too.
Yeah, I actually really love that part.
I'm just impressed by all the like real rap head features Tyler's giving right now. He goes on Gibbs and goes on West Side.
Yeah, he had to, after Igor, he had to win back that community,
Right.
That one didn't land. All right, guys. All right.
I didn't know that was supposed to be a joke.
Oh, well, maybe it wasn't a joke.
Dude, that was like so dry, it didn't even seem like a joke.
Wow. All right, well.
I was just like, yeah.
I don't know if real rap fans like Tyler. I have no idea.
Yeah, I think they all hate them because I've like tried to like, whenever I have to add like, I tried to paste the West Side song in the Discord or whatever. So I've seen the YouTube comment threads in passing, and they hate Tyler. They all hate him.
I mean, at least it shows the rappers like him, though.
Because those are great rap verses, dude. Like, he raps his ass off on the fucking West Side album. Like, he sounds like Earl on a few of those. Like, I hear Earl influence on, like, a little part in the middle there. Like, I feel like he's become, I don't know. When did I become a Tyler? Remember when I hated Tyler?
No, Tyler said, like, because he had, like, the, glitter on my neck matched the glitter on my fingernails, and he was like, hey, like, he said to West Side, like, when he sent him the verse, he was like, is this too much? Like, I don't know. He was kind of, like, not sure about it.
Yeah.
And because West Side said this in an interview, and West Side was like, no, that's hard as fuck. Like, I'm putting it on the album. Like, say, like, if anyone doesn't like this, like, fuck them, man. That's just you doing you. Like, da-da-da. So
I don't know if I said this on the podcast or when I was talking to you guys because my brain is mush and time is irrelevant right now. But one of the things I heard on the Call Out Culture podcast was they were talking about how West Side is really good about features. Like, he's a huge rap nerd, like Drake, like fucking that guy we were talking about. I don't know, Pill, Wayne Blaze, the guy on that song. But anyway, yeah, so he's a huge rap nerd, so he keeps all these features in his pocket, so he knows who sounds good on what. So he's going to rep for those guys. So he's going to put fucking Tyler on the song Tyler sounds good on. And, yeah, so I feel really bad for thinking West Side was boring for so long. The last thing I would ever call West Side Gun is boring. And, all these reviews I have on RYM, I'm like, oh, man, this dude's boring. I need those reviews.
No, he's definitely one of the most charismatic out, as is best transition in the game, as is Freddie Gibbs.
Exactly. And this is.
Go
ahead.
I haven't heard much from you. I don't want to drown you out here.
All right, class. Like, what do you? So you think where's Alfredo stand in his whole discography for you?
Probably at the tail end of the top 5. I mean, it's a great album. I had the pleasure of driving from Ohio to Tennessee last weekend, so I just got to play it like over and over again, and it's pretty good.
I have it third technically, but to me Pinata and Bandana are 1A and 1B, so it's really 2 if that counts. I think this has the potential for me to grow into a 10 with time, so I will definitely give you that, Patrick, because right now it's a very high 4.5, very high 9, and it's my second favorite album of the year easily. And that says a lot to say second favorite because it's been such a strong year. But yeah, this album's awesome. There's not a thing I don't like about it. The Benny feature's great. I know Patrick brought it up, might be his favorite Benny feature. It's definitely up there. Probably my favorite. And Look at Me, that song barely has any drums on it, if at all. It's just like
Diction hates that song.
Oh, I'm sure, because it's very like airy. It's very like airy and weightless. And
What did he give this? 3 stars?
He gave it
a 3.
Yeah. 3 stars for Diction is like 3.5 for everybody else, though. So I think he likes it. He just doesn't want to admit that he fully likes it. It's my take. It's my hot take, Diction.
Yeah,
album is. Go ahead, Class.
I was just gonna say, I mean, it's just he's getting the perfect lengths right now. Like 35 minutes, 10 songs, like perfect length. You know, no filler at all. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's great from beginning to end. I can't wait to see what he does next.
Yeah, and this was just, I mean.
Go ahead.
And I was gonna say, like, who knows how long this took? Like, this might have been something that it's pasta, but who knows how much they whipped up, like in quarantine. So, like, who knows? Like, who knows? I don't know how long this took them to make, but Gibbs is the type of rapper right now where he can just put out albums that he's made in a short period of time, and they're better than your career peak albums.
Yeah, real quick, just in case anybody missed it, some things I wanted to touch on that we didn't get to because Freddie Gibbs has a fucking massive discography full of good shit that you should listen to that we wanted to talk about. We did talk about Old English for a half second, but Old English is a single that Young Thug, A$AP Ferg, and Freddie Gibbs did together. It's really awesome. Listen to it. World's My Ashtray, Freddie Gibbs and Ski Beats. Really good. Cocaine Parties in L.A., Freddie claims he got the No More Parties in LA beat before Kanye did. I think he's just talking shit. But these beats existed for the original Watch the Throne that was supposed to be just Madlib beats with Jay and Kanye. So there's a million stories going on about this. Either way, Freddie goes over the No More Parties in LA beat. Sounds awesome. All Day is Freddie Gibbs, Mike Dean. Fucking awesome, as you would expect.
Also, the Shame Bad Bad Not Good remix is great.
Oh, yeah. That's really cool, too. There was a full album remix of Pinata by a dude named Alex Goose that I gave a 7, so I must not have hated it. I don't remember anything about Alex Goose. He doesn't have anything else on his RYM page. I don't know. Whatever. Do your own research. Comment as you see fit. Yeah, so best intros, worst intros in the game. Can't believe I just said best. Worst outros in the game. Best outro in the music game. Okay, I just paused because I'm seriously, we had really good discussions for like 3 hours, but the first 5 minutes were trash, and the last 2 minutes are trash because whenever I have to think about what I'm doing, it sucks. Outro music. And now I have to think about what it is, and it's Can Kick, and it's staggered pace off of one of the Warped District albums. Shout out to super producer Kittenpuke. And as always, we are living off borrowed time. Thank you, ClassTK, for joining us. Next week, we'll have another topic for you that I can't remember, because when I try and remember things, I stumble over my own words, and I had a stroke. We're living off borrowed time. See you next time. Peace.
It ain't gonna never stop. 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 It ain't gonna never stop.
Time will tell. Time is yet to be conquered by man. But when the time is right, perhaps the greatest revelation of all time will dawn upon us.